सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धे भवतु मे सदा. Hari Om. Yes, so we are now continuing our journey into the Gita. We have just entered into the first adhyay and covered 32 shlokas. Can anybody recollect something that we saw? What was happening so far in the first adhyay? Anything, a short summary in a few words. So our link is established. So what was it that Arjuna was showing? What symptoms was he talking about? Anybody? Yes?
He was having a panic attack after seeing,
yeah,
and that was, demotivating him to, to give up the fight.
It was yes, Dr. Atulji. So he was having a panic attack. My question is it this panic attack only for those who are mentally weak and not physically weak? Only those people develop panic attacks, or it can be anybody?
No, it can be anybody. The only thing is they should not have attachment. If they have attachment, then definitely they will have a panic attack like this.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Atulji. What were you saying?
I was saying that it can happen to anybody. It depends upon the circumstances.
Okay.
And maybe the mindset at that particular time.
Okay. So yes, we have here in front of us Arjuna. Yes, please. Savitriji wants to add. Yes, okay.
It is due to moha that is related to the relations, but...
Okay, Savitriji is saying maybe it's because of the moha due to relations. As of now, Krishna has not told anything. We can only assume Krishna has not given...
Due to insecurity.
Okay, Divyaji says it could be due to insecurity. But this is there that even the most strong, physically strong, mentally strong can be vulnerable. Look at Arjuna, Parantapa, Gudakesh, Dhananjay, so many titles he has earned. He is an expert. He is a renowned figure who is respected and revered by so many. So many youngsters would have picked up the bow and arrow thinking of Arjuna only. And now this same Arjuna is right now vulnerable and weak. So this is one thing we see, a full change in Arjuna. And if it is happening to Arjuna, who has done a great sadhana, a great tapasya to reach where he is, maybe all of us also can be vulnerable. And here, as I think Shiv Shankarji has said, attachment, or Savitriji said moha to, this is something we have not been introduced yet. What is attachment in the Gita's context? What is this moha? But it does look like even the all-powerful hero can suddenly become a zero when he is now driven by some uncontrolled emotions. So this is one thing we have seen so far. Anybody wishes to add, or can we proceed?
A lack of clarity. Why didn't you think of this situation beforehand?
Okay. Why didn't he think of this situation before?
Lack of clarity,
But actually, Vasudevanji, he had very good clarity just a few shlokas before. If we just look at this shloka, if you see, he tells in the shloka number 23, Yotsaman aveksheham ye etetra samagata dhartarashtrasya durbuddhe. So he says, I know all these people. He doesn't look at Guru Dronacharya, Guru Bhishma. Here he has full clarity. This alliance of well-wishers who have supported and joined to support the false cause of Duryodhana. So here full clarity was there. Probably they had strategies in that time. Arjuna would have told, I will finish this person, I will finish that person. All of it was there. But I think many times even in street fights we see, I'll hit you, I'll do this, I'll do that, people say. But when the actual time comes, they actually flee because something happens. Clarity of mind here in Arjuna's case, he knew he was doing the right thing. Yet something happened. And I think yesterday one participant shared, most of the times it's with family members that we feel more vulnerable. When even if we are doing the perfect thing, even the greatest yogi and tapasvi also may at times suddenly, if you have great Puranic stories also, because of familial attachments, what happens to them. So we'll just see, nothing we need to conclude because Krishna has not started anything in the Gita. We can assume maybe it was this attachment. It's just a hypothesis. Let us see. Now we see one thing though. Arjuna is not the same confident hero who is representative of the Rudra himself. Right now we see Arjuna. Arjuna is vulnerable. And Arjuna is asking questions. He asks in the 32nd shloka. He says, first he said about his physical signs about he's feeling feverish. His head and Brahmati Vachim Chame Mana, the body is also going in circles, so is his mind. He's feeling thirsty. Now, I don't think he suddenly was planted into a desert. No, he got this on the spot. Suddenly, these are all classic symptoms of a panic attack. And it is happening to Arjuna, one after the other. But Krishna is not intervening. Krishna is being, I think one more participant yesterday said, the silent observer, listening quietly, listening to what Arjuna is saying, but not intervening. Like pressure cooker is working, let some more steam come out. No problem. He says he just watches. So first, Arjuna talks about physical symptoms. Yes, Deepti wants to add something.
Yes, as a person, like when we, I don't know how it goes in the Gita context, but I actually believe that when we feel that this is certain, like sometimes we have a plan and I'm going to go do this 10 thing, and I'm very certain about it. But get in that course of planning, there is nothing called as certain.
Okay, man proposes, God disposes.
Yeah. We do not consider that there are uncertainties also, and we have to like, we don't have that acceptance. And sometimes when like that happens, our plans shatter, our plans go for a toss, and then that's the time sometimes we also become emotionally and physically weak. And as you said that Arjuna was not in a desert anymore, but the whole process of how his psychology and his body was reacting could be that he may consider that certainties are actually not certain.
Okay. All right, Deepti. And Deepti, just once you try disconnecting your earphone and again connecting it, there's some background music coming from. I mean, not music, I would say, some sound distortion is there. You can just try. Yes. And no problem if it is not resolved. All right. So 32nd shloka, we have stopped here. And Krishna is told by Arjuna in a matter-of-fact way. First, he talked about physical signs. When Krishna did not respond to that, then he goes one more step. He says, I see bad omens. He says, I see very bad signs that I'm seeing. I can understand. I'm getting very negative vibes from this, he says. I don't see any fame. I don't see any pride in this battle. Then he goes on, Na kankshate vijayam Krishna, na cha rajyam sukhani cha. So we stopped at this shloka. He says, what vijay will I get? What victory will I get? What sukha will I experience after this? Kim no rajyena govinda, kim bhogair jivitena va. What kind of life would this be? He says, this kingdom which is acquired this way, how can I experience it? How can I enjoy it? Would it not be a waste? Because it's going to come at the cost of my own people. So far at least Arjuna is not speaking illogically, at least. He is speaking what we can say something. He is emotional, he is disturbed, but he's not lost his logic right now. And he's trying to convince Krishna his point of view. Yesham arthe kangshitam no rajyam bhogaha sukhani cha. 33rd shloka. Ta ime vasthita yudhe pranas tyaktva dhanani cha. My dearest ones, for whose very sake these kingly comforts I desire, with their lives and wealth at stake, they stand here in the line of fire. He says, my own people, for whom I have done everything in my life, for them, they are now standing in this battle. They are going to face mortality. Yama is just waiting to catch. He's just waiting who is going to catch first is the question. This is going to be a Mrityu Kshetra. And he says, all of them are there. So I've done everything in life, all the material wealth, whatever I want, or anything in the world. These are my people I've been doing for. My guru is here, my Pitamaha, my entire family, all of this. He says, this is really crazy. He goes on. Acharyaha, pitaraha, putras, tathaiva cha pitamahaha, matulaha, shashuraha, pautraha, shalaha, sambandinastata. My teachers, brothers, and my children, nephews, in-laws, and grandchildren. So Arjuna is not just a young boy or school-going kid or some young adolescent person. He is a very mature, grown-up man who has already a great experience. We could say maybe in his roughly middle ages, but health-wise, he is maybe more athletic than the best Olympic athlete of today. But he is now disturbed and he says, my teachers, my brothers, my children, my nephews, in-laws, grandchildren, my elders and likewise grandfathers, and many other family members. Now comes the next part of questioning. So one thing we see sometimes emotionally also when people are disturbed, their logical sense is not gone. They give very good logic to support their emotional point of view. Arjuna is going to do the same thing. Etan hantum ichchami. Etan hantum ichchami gnatopi madhusudana api trailokya rajyasya hetoho kimnu mahikrute. O Krishna, to kill them I desire not. Such a crime in life I have never sought, not for ruling the three realms of the earth. Surely, is such a lordship any worth? This was not a. I never wanted to murder anybody, he says. This is not a crime I ever aimed in my life. This is not why I learned this archery. This is not the aim of my life, he says. Not for, even if I got the great, all three realms, all the three lokas, I become the Raja of all three lokas. He says, this lordship is of no use. I don't give one penny's value to this kind of lordship after killing my own people. So my question is, how correct is this statement? Is Arjuna engaging in war equal to that of murder? Is he going to commit murder by engaging in war? Is he like a petty criminal or some kind of murderer if he takes part in this war? The way Arjuna is saying right now.
You're talking about war. If somebody attacks you, you have to defend yourself.
Ji Vasudeva. Kshatriyasya dharma. Look, for a warrior, if on our borders, our soldier kills a terrorist or neutralizes a terrorist, can we call it murder?
No, even a soldier doesn't want to be unless attacked. Okay.
Yes.
Unless some reason behind it. Or something.
Yes, for protecting. Now he doesn't kill this terrorist will come and kill civilians who are having no way to defend themselves. So for that, the soldier puts himself on the line of fire. Sometimes he has to forget about his own family. And yet, many attain martyrdom, nobody cares. Civilians don't respect such soldiers' families also. And they have difficult lives, but forgetting all of it, the soldier goes and protects. That's not murder though. Just like a doctor working on a patient, if a surgeon is operating and the patient dies in the hand of the doctor, it is not murder by the doctor. Yes.
He is not defending a country. He is only trying to establish a right.
Yes.
He says, for me, I can give up the right, but not kill my dearest.
He says, I cannot kill my dearest. And
because he is not protecting anybody, really.
Yes.
Protecting dharma is different, of course. If he is not dating a people or a country, he is not doing that. He is going to. It doesn't appear that way. Maybe it is linked. That way it is.
Because Arjuna's point of view, this is murder. But just if you look at it, we saw a soldier's perspective. But even in a doctor's perspective, a friend of mine, he's a surgeon now in the UK. While I was talking to him, he said, and he's quite just established now, getting established in the field. And we were discussing something called moral injury, which brings guilt in people after doing something and they are not sure what has to be taken. And he said, no, we are given therapy, our seniors come and they counsel us and they explain to us how this entire field, it is through the mistakes of doctor only science advances ultimately. Unconsciously done also or consciously done. Unconsciously done are not excused all the time, but it is not murder where it is willingly somebody is stabbing someone with a knife, because this is how it is done. Sometimes some techniques which are recommended after some 20 years, 30 years, there's advancement and those same recommended techniques are then banned because now the science has evolved. So in this 20 years, somebody who was following that is not actually engaging in murder. That person is if they are sincerely trying to uphold their duties. But here Arjuna is bringing the language of murder. He starts first. I don't want to engage in murder. It is a great sin, he says. So the bhasha of papa is also now coming into play. Krishna is not. A lot of people quote the first adhyaya of the Gita speaking about this papa, that papa. But it is Arjuna who is speaking. So we will not take this as pramana. Krishna is the pramana for us. Right now Arjuna is a disturbed Arjuna. So in a disturbed state, nobody is a pramana. Nobody has the control over their own vivek buddhi. So their statements need not be considered as the highest. Let us continue. He goes on further. Now he sees that these are children of Dhritarashtra. निहित्य धातराष्ट्रान्नः का प्रीतिः स्यात् जनार्दन पापमेवाश्रयेदस्मान् हत्वैतान् आततायिनः. He says, "Oh Krishna, by killing Dhritarashtra's sons, what happiness is there for me to gain? I will only suffer for my sins with pain for murdering these impetuous ones." He says, "There's no happiness that's going to be coming by killing these children of Dhritarashtra. I will not get any happiness. Instead, I will suffer papa. And I will suffer," he says, "and I'll have that pain of carrying that papa all my life for murdering these people, these impetuous ones, these ones who are wrong. We can say these are just on an impulse, these people are functioning. These ones, these children of Dhritarashtra." Now he's seeing all of them as children of Dhritarashtra, and he says, "I don't want to suffer the sin of killing so many people," he says. Then he goes on further, 37th one. "Tasma narha vayam hantum dhartarashtan swabandhavan swajanam hi katham hatva sukhinah syam madhava." Now he says, it's not just murder of anybody. This is the murder of swajana. My own people I am going to murder, he says. Now he is remembering that they are all his bandhavas, his brothers. Oh Krishna. But if you see, the same Arjuna was ready to mark his opponent and slay him just a few moments before. But now there's a change, and now he's not seeing them as opponents of dharma. He has forgotten probably what has happened to Draupadi, what had happened, what was their aim, what were they going to do. All this is forgotten in what? In his own emotions. Arjuna's own emotions have taken precedence over the situation. Arjuna has forgotten how many people depend upon him. Arjuna has forgotten what is his role, what was the plan. Maybe he is disappointed, he is sorrowful. But what is the commitment that he has given? How many people are depending? All of these are forgotten because Arjuna is seeing only his point of view, and at this moment he is disturbed. His disturbance is of prime importance to him over everything. And now he is using brilliant logic to justify his own nature, his own way of thinking. Let us see. He says, "Oh Krishna, it doesn't seem fit. What satisfaction will I thus merit? Waging war against them, what can I win? For I shall be killing my own kin." He says, "What will I get? What will I win? This is my own kin. How can I kill them? What is it? What satisfaction will I get?" But my question is, has Arjuna come for getting some sukha bhoga, that he has come here for getting some sukha or some happiness? Is that why he has come here? So he's saying, I'll not get any happiness and my personal desires will not be fulfilled. Is that why he has come here? Anybody?
No, he's come here to for a revenge for the.
Okay. But
So,
he has forgotten it, is it not, Aditi? Right?
Yes, he's in that emotional turmoil and he's forgotten what has happened in the past and why he's basically forgotten the reason for which he's here.
And he is now seeing only his point of view, trying to convince Krishna and establish his point of view.
And he's forgetting one thing is that, as you said, that he's thinking only from his point of view, how he will feel.
Yeah.
But he's forgetting that he has come along with people. He has come along with the expectations of the people. He's come along with expectations of Draupadi. So that thing, the thing, because he's not come for his own thing. He's come for some other reason.
Yes. So can we assume that maybe when we are very emotional and disturbed, our own point of view only matters. All other points of views or selfless aspects are forgotten. Can we say that?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
We can say.
All right. Gee, so let us continue now. So now then he again tries to, we can say very intellectually he explains now immediately. Probably Krishna gave a slight sarcastic smile after Arjuna said that, because next shloka he immediately says, "Yadyapyate na pashyanti lobho pahata chetasaha kulakshaya krutam dosham mitra drohe cha patakam." Now he is escalating the level. First it was just hatya, then it is the hatya of swajana, then he is now taking it one more step ahead. He is saying kulakshaya, and then mitra droha means destroying of family, murder of family, he says. Then after murder of family, he says mitra droha. There is nothing more than betraying, worse than betraying. A person who betrays his friendship, that person is considered worst. nothing like that is most scum of a person, and I am going to become worse than that, is what he says. Now this is interesting. Let us see. He says, even if they don't in this way perceive or see, however corrupt their greedy minds may be, the worst of sins is incurred from this felony, that is acquired from carnage of friends and family. He says, no, even if they are not thinking like this, they don't think I am their person. But I must think, see, I am very selfless, is what he's trying to show. He's showing that, see, even if they don't think that way about me, I am going to incur the worst sins of Kulakshaya and Mitra Droha. I do not know how Mitra Droha will be there. Mitra Droha will be there if he runs away, because all will say, you have failed me. But now he feels it will be Mitra Droha if he participates in the battle. Even his friends would be betrayed by him, he says, if he participates in this battle. And he says, I don't want all of this. And this is the worst sin, he says. I never want. And for righteous people, they don't want sin to do anything sinful. They're never tempted by it, but sometimes they have a fear of doing sin only. Like, what if I do this? I will get this bad name. I don't want that. So here we see Arjuna. And Arjuna is just going on, just increasing the level, waiting for Krishna to agree to him or say something. Let us see. Katham na neyamasmabhihi papadasman nivartitum kulakshaya kritam dosham prapashyadbhi janardana. Why? Why shouldn't I think in this manner? To escape from a sin, I wish not to incur. For this terrible sin of killing one's own, to us its consequences are already known. He says, why shouldn't I think this way, Krishna? I want to escape from this sin. I don't want anything else. I don't want this sin to be, I don't want to carry this scar in my life that I have murdered my family. I don't want this, he says. For you know the consequences very well. Krishna, you are aware of these consequences of such kind of karma, he says. For this terrible sin of killing one's own, to us its consequences are already known. Then he goes on explaining what are the consequences, as if Krishna does not know that. He goes on, Kulakshaye pranashyanti kuladharmaha sanatanaha dharme nashte kulam kutsnan dharmo bhi bhavatyuta. The act of killing one's own clan destroys our ancient ethical code for man. And when ethics of man are annihilated, in his posterity, the sin is proliferated. So now it's not individual sin only. First he says, by doing this sin, not only am I doing swajana hatya, kulakshaya, mitra droha, he says, I am destroying sanatan dharma also. Can somebody tell me the meaning of sanatan here? Sanatan dharma, why is it called sanatan, or what is the meaning of sanatan? Yes, please.
Eternal.
Eternal, is it not? So eternal cannot be destroyed. And here he is saying, see, if I do this eternal dharma also will be destroyed if I do this action.
I don't think he's thinking it as eternal. He's thinking it as a
temporary
way of life only. Yeah,
it's just a way of life. He says, see, this dharma is there. This kula dharma, he's calling it a kula dharma. Again, these are all dharmas which are having their ancient codes of ethics, which is based on some truth. Why we have Satyameva Jayate as a motto is because we know that truth is something. It can be hidden but cannot be destroyed. It will rise ultimately. So here Arjuna is saying, no, this will happen. And then he says, what happens when sin is? It is like an infection that is going to be passed on over generations. This papa will be spread over the next few generations also, is what he is afraid of, he says. And these ethics are destroyed, and entire generations are going to be tarnished. All future will be tarnished. Then he goes on further. Adharma bhi bhavat Krishna pradishyanti kulastriyaha strishu dushtashu varshneya jayate varna sankaraha. Now he says varna sankara will take place. And oh Krishna, in a household that is sinned, the women members only suffering you find. And when the women are afflicted, then the balance of society is affected. Now he goes on, he says, what about the striyas, what about the women? Now he says, see, they will get disturbed because of this. Then there will be intermingling of castes, is what people say, as this is what Gita talks about. But no, it is Arjuna talking about it. It is Arjuna who is disturbed, and Arjuna is speaking about this. He says, see what's going to happen. All the women member will suffer. The balance of society will be destroyed if I participate in this battle, is what he says. Assuming that nothing wrong will happen if he doesn't participate. Again, if he doesn't participate, he's going to support the destructive forces only by abstention. But that is not something he is realizing. He says first the household is sinned, not only the household, the women members, and then the women members are then going to spoil the society also. He says all societies will be destroyed because balance is lost. Then he goes on. Now he talks about Naraka also. There is something special about our dharma is not about the aspect of fear that is induced. We are taught to be abhaya. Abhayam sattva sanshuddhi, Gita says. We need to be fearless. We are told amrutasya putra vayam. We are children of immortality or that supreme immortal conscious. We are the immaculate children of that supreme truth. But this aspect of fear or do this or you will go to Naraka, all these factors have been maybe later on inserted, but our freedom, we will see the freedom of Sanatana Dharma throughout the Gita. Now Arjuna is talking about Naraka, not Krishna. The Naraka that Krishna talks about is only how you are making your life Naraka because of certain things. He is not giving fear of Naraka. Let us go on. Sankaro Naraka yaiva kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro yesham lupta pindo dakakriyaha. In the lives of such sinners, only hell descends, and to their families too it extends. Even those who received the libations and rise, the ancestors fall in stature even after their demise. Now he's not sparing his family only, he's even bringing his peters into the picture. He says, see, this in such life, there's Naraka only. People are going to enter into Naraka because of all of this, he says. And not just one or two people, the entire families after families. And not just families, even those who have departed, who are probably happily in the Pitar Lok and maybe maybe in the Chandra Lok, they are happily experiencing some joys, and suddenly gravity is going to start functioning and they're going to fall, he says. They will fall in their stature. Even the Pitar Lokas will be disturbed, he says. He goes on further. He says, Doshai retaihi kulagunanam varna sankara karakaihi utsadhyante jati dharmaha kula dharmascha shashvataha. He says all this jati dharma is going to be destroyed, kula dharma is going to be destroyed, shashvat, sanatan, that which is perfect and pure, which cannot be adulterated, is also going to get adulterated and destroyed ultimately, he says. These sinners and destroyers of families bring forth to the society loss and tragedies. Now he says earthquakes will also take place, he's assuming, because this is going to create a balance which is going to break the balance, which will spread everywhere, he says. These sinners and destroyers of families bring forth to the society loss and tragedies by breaking the ancient code of the human race. They break families and spread disgrace. He says this will only spread disgrace everywhere. Then he goes on further. He talks about dharma now, upholding duty. This is the duty, he says. He has to uphold the duty towards all of these by running away from the battle, is what he says. 44th one, he says, Utsamna kula dharma nam manushya nam janardana narake niyatam vaso bhavatitya nushushruma. Those whose code of duty is vanquished, the fates of such men are sealed and finished. They are doomed for eternity to dwell and suffer for their actions in the realms of hell. So now he talks about Naraka, which he has no idea about the Naraka Loka. He is speaking about Naraka, that this is going to happen in the Naraka for eternity. Like these Greek punishments are there. There are Greek stories where now, for example, Sisyphus, he was given a punishment by the gods that he has to suffer an eternal punishment of pushing one boulder all the way to the top and then again pushing it down. And this has to keep going on as long as he's alive, and he has been given immortality to continuously do the same thing only. That's a kind of an eternal punishment, and here Arjuna is talking about this. He says this Naraka. In the Gita, we don't see much description of this kind of Naraka. Only life can become Naraka, and or it can become Swarga also if we live the right way. If we do it wrong, our life becomes Naraka. What happens later, that we'll see. But this realm of Naraka is what Arjuna is now confidently saying. See, such people, they have lost the sense of duty. They are sealed, their fates are sealed, they are finished, he says. Not only are they finished in this world, in the Naraka also, permanently they will suffer. So now all of this goes on. What do you think Arjuna is saying? Is it right? His point of view, is it correct? Yes or no?
No.
No. But now Arjuna is speaking and Krishna is not, refusing or immediately pointing it out also it's wrong. What could that be? What would be the reason for that?
I think it's not matter of right or wrong, correct. I think he's trying to justify his logic to avoid the act, right? I think.
Yes. Sir. He's justifying his logic, but problem is Krishna is not listening. Krishna is keeping that balance. He is silently just letting Arjuna speak. He is not saying, I agree with you. And Arjuna wanted, so he says, sometimes people say, I just want to hear from somebody that you agree. So Krishna knows very well now this is not the time to agree to what Arjuna is saying. So now Arjuna escalates. He keeps on going as we have seen. One after the other, he raises the issues. He becomes more and more emotional. Now comes the next part where he is now going to blame the savior only. He is going to say, Krishna, did you want wealth? Krishna, were you greedy? Many times I think we have experienced this when we go to help our friends. And when our friends don't hear the words that they want to hear from us, then they start blaming you are responsible because of you all of this has happened. So something like that. Arjuna and Krishna, of course, I'm making in speaking in a light manner. Their relation is beautiful. If you study the Mahabharata, you'll know the great history behind them. And that freedom is what he is utilizing. And one more good thing that Arjuna is doing, in spite of all that is wrong, what's happening right now, is that he is confiding to Krishna. He has that trust in Krishna. So he is opening up to Krishna. So it's in the first adhyaya, one thing we can learn, it's not about Naraka, it's not about Papa. It's about how we can open up. We can open up to someone whom we trust. It could be our elder, it could be our friend, it could be our guru also, it could be anyone, but someone who is trusted. And that Arjuna is doing. Yes,
I want to say something here. It's just like you said that Krishna is listening. So if I relate this to the real life, and let's say when a child comes to us, and he's disturbed or she's disturbed, something has happened, and they cry, and so sometimes we jump over, okay, what happened? But sometimes some people have the patience to listen and let the person, child or anyone, speak and vent it out completely to understand what exactly is going in the head, rather than just stopping in the halfway. So maybe Krishna also would have wanted, like, well, let me hear what he is thinking. Of course, Krishna knows everything, but in the real life, we say that we don't know everything what's going. So it's always, it's a lesson that we should let the person talk it out, so that we understand the situation better, and maybe if needed, the solution can be given better, because it's always not about giving the solution, it's also about the listening part.
Ji, that's a very valid point, Deepti. Sometimes we react immediately. What nonsense are you saying? But sometimes that person has come with such faith and trust towards us. Maybe the person may be speaking nonsense only, but maybe you don't have to call it nonsense then. Just listen, let that person vent out. Let the evacuation take place. Sometimes tears come out, let the tears come out. Let that finish. Because at this time, if you even speak sense, to a disturbed mind, it's very difficult to speak sense also. It will not enter inside, because now the person is governed by emotions. And we have seen a great, almost a yogi, Arjuna is like that, the great person. And even he is experiencing this because of a very difficult experience that he has to face, all his own people. I think we are all in the comforts of our homes, so we can probably study and dissect the situation. But in Arjuna's case, it is a very raw, real experience where he is now standing in front, and there are very high stakes involved. So this has led him to into this situation. So now comes the last part. The hero is called the villain now. Krishna is now forgetting that Krishna tried his best to prevent this battle. He went as mediator. He reduced everything. Now he's become the charioteer. But now Arjuna asks this question. He says, the 45th shloka, Aho bata mahat papam kartum vyavasita vayam yadrajya sukhalobhena antum swa janamudyama mudyataha. How, he says, how did we agree to commit this sin? So Krishna, you are also co-conspirator, he says. How did we agree to commit this sin? Just for the kingly comforts we desired to win. Our own clan did we seek to kill. Alas, this terrible feat. Why did we will? He says, why did we do this, he says. Why did we agree to do this sin? Why did all of us agree to participate in this sinful act, he says. just because of kingly comforts. Now, this is a very useless statement to be made to Raja Krishna, who is like a great emperor himself. He has such a powerful Narayani Sena. Only a portion of the Narayani Sena is also fighting in the Mahabharata Yuddha. He could conquer any territory he wants if he wanted kingly comforts. And Krishna was already, he's an example of someone who is wherever you keep him. He's a villager also, he's a rich king in the village also. Or in the material riches of the wealth of gold and everything also does not, it is not that which adds to his wealth. His wealth is something which is different. It is beyond just the material and spiritual also. But now Arjuna says, were you greedy? Were we greedy? Did we do this for that? We have now sought to kill our own people. What have we done? Where have we come? Arjuna sees no point in continuing what he is doing. He feels, I need to quit. Like almost like I resign, he says, just before the biggest project in the organization, which the organization and everybody in the organization have aspired for. This person says, no, I'm leaving right now. And next shloka, this is the most dangerous one, where we see the tendency of Arjuna to even harm himself. Yadi mama, just a second, yes please. Yadi mama apratikaram ashastram shastrapanayah dhartha rashtra rane hanyuhu tanme shemataram bhavet. Just look at these. He says, if I face their armies unarmed and by the Kauravan weapons I am killed, I would still retain some glory by allowing them to claim a victory. He says, see, if I was just killed by the Kauravan army, if I just dropped my weapons and was killed by this Kauravan army itself, he says, I would still get some glory by allowing them to get a victory, he says. I do not know what glory is waiting for Arjuna if he got killed that way, but he feels that is the way, and this is probably what my psychiatrist friend see, panic attack and then now first suicidal tendency, give him antidepressant, let him start his medication right now. That is what my friend was saying. I think if they were there, they would have made a case sheet and got him and admitted him into the hospital only. But this is something which we see, and there are two types of people, either they harm themselves or they harm others when they go to their lowest point. Arjuna does seem to be the person who is now going to harm himself in his emotional lower and lower, and he's gone to this point. First talked like this to Krishna also, because Krishna is an elder. To speak this way to Krishna also, he has, his emotions, he had to summon a lot of what we can say, false courage to do this action also. But he's done that, and then he feels, wow, what is wrong in what I'm saying? It's better if I just die. He says, if they just kill me without firing a weapon, I'll leave my weapon, go and get killed. It's a very different change in Arjuna, the hero that we knew, the great warrior who has even Anjaneya's presence. The great Maharudra has said, you will feel my presence, I will be there on your chariot. And people would have got experiences also. Suddenly the shadow from where Maruti would be visible. But that same hero now, who has all the divine blessings, all the divine backing, who has done all the good in his life, has now reached this point, and he says, no, it's no point. It's like, even if I get killed, forgetting everybody, what would happen to the Pandavas? What would happen to the army? What would happen to Draupadi? When he was alive only, they were doing such wrong. What would happen if he was not there to protect? So many things. So all these things are now forgotten. And all of this, he's saying he is doing it for the sake of society, for the sake of not incurring papa, for upholding the dharma. And he seems to be a Shastri right now and quoting according to Shastras what's going to happen, he says, in Naraka also. Sanjay Uvacha, the last shloka of the first adhyay, this is what we see, a depression of Arjuna. Finally, Arjuna has entered into that state, slowly from confidence to sudden depression, and that is how the Gita begins. That is why Gita is more beautiful, because in the worst point, that is where Krishna's intervention takes place. But does Krishna immediately intervene is something we have to see. Let us go on. Sanjay Uvacha, Eva Muktva Arjuna Sankhye Rathopastha Upavishat Visrujya Sasharam Chapam Shokasam Vigna Manasaha. Sanjay spoke. After saying so, Arjuna, amidst the warfield, his bow and arrows he refused to wield. He dropped down onto his chariot seat. In delusion, he had already considered defeat. So here, Arjuna has now dropped his bow, dropped his arrows, and he is fallen down back onto the seat of his chariot. He has already accepted defeat even before the battle has begun. The battle on the inside is already over and he has lost his surrendered, he says. Surrendered to whom? Not to a divine, surrendered to the enemy. And he says, that's it. He has already accepted defeat. So this is the start of the Gita. We will probably, since we have some more time, we can enter into the second adhyaya as well. We'll just start the second adhyaya and then we will see. So before we proceed, any queries are there? Anything you wish to add?
There's a view.
Yes,
Can I say that?
Yes,
There's
sir.
a view that Arjuna was really scared of fighting Bhishma and Drona.
Okay.
And to hide that, he came up with all these excuses. There is a view like that. I don't
Okay.
subscribe to that.
No, that is fine, Najib.
Some people are saying that way also.
No, that's welcome. All views are we are okay. We are free to have. Maybe there could be a reason, but we know that
He was afraid of facing them. Never faced such enemies in his life. So he was really afraid of his own life, and to cover that, he's giving all these excuses.
Okay, but maybe he's not doing it consciously. No, Vasudevanji. It's not conscious.
No, it's not conscious, but this
Somewhere,
is
subconscious fear.
Psychoanalysis of this situation.
Okay. Ji,
Somebody, you know.
Some fear. Okay, Vasudevanji. Yes, please.
The focus on this chapter is on, sorry.
Yes, sir. Ji. Yes, please.
The focus on this chapter is on Arjuna's Vishada. We have seen Vishada always follows a big turning point in human life. Like we have seen, Valmiki's Vishada led to writing of epic Ramayana, and Buddha's Vishada led to Nirvana, and now we see Arjuna's Vishada is leading to Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, so that's interesting. So many times it is like the night is then followed by a great dawn. So we are just seeing the darkness of the night, but there is going to be a great. And what kind of dawn is this going to be? With the Gita, we'll see Kavim Puranam Manusasitaram. It's going to be something which is brilliant, more brilliant than the sun. But right now we see Arjuna. Arjuna is going, and I think Vasudevanji has told something very nice, that inside some hidden fear which even Arjuna is not fully conscious, that will I succeed, will I not succeed, but it's all a cumulative factor. We cannot just say one factor of fear only, but this is what we can say. There is Sat and there is Asat. So this all that he has spoken is not truth. He has taken recourse to that to justify something and escape from this battle. Now what's interesting is how Krishna is going to deal, because I think, like I said, if I will just ask participants only, if you are in Krishna's place, Arjuna is your hero. You have now, you have put your stakes. Chalo, this person is going to fight, so I will not fight. You say that. He is going to fight for you, and you have decided. Not only that, you are quite confident. You say, all right, I will not only will I not fight, I will just be the charioteer. And not just that, you will, as you say, I will give my army to the opponents also. So there will be some balance. After all this has been done, you enter into battle, and it is like your partner is now going to begin. And he says, no, I think it's not a good idea. I want to just withdraw. What would your reaction be? Anybody?
No, we are all Arjunas. Only you are joined as Hidam of Krishna.
I am also, that's just the name of the YouTube channel. But what would your, Shiv Shankarji, what would your be if somebody has trusted you, you have trusted in someone, and that person leaves you? Yes, please.
No, we have to create a balance of mind in the person after analyzing all the aspects.
Okay, Ji. Yes, we have to create a balance of mind. All right. Yes, anybody else?
See, from what this first adhyaya says, is what I understand is that when somebody, let's say if I was in Krishna's place,
Okay.
or let's say two people are there, right?
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned earlier, also that from the listening point of view, and if I'm a kind of a person who is always in the thought, okay, half hearing and then just jumping into the conclusions and trying to just give the suggestions and lessons without even going to, then of course it can happen that I may feel agitated. Why? I am there I am telling that I am there to support you. I am there to guide you. You're not asking me. You're coming to so many conclusions. You're trying to satisfy your guilt and you're giving up.
Yeah. So
And you're disappointing me also. But there could be other aspects that, like Krishna is being very quiet and being a good listener. If there's a person like that in real life who's a good listener, he or she may think beyond, may try to understand what the other person is saying and let the other person complete it.
Yes,
And then say, okay, fine, I don't want to react it because if I react it, then I am not the guide. Then I'm also in the same place where the other person is. So I need to separate the two.
Oh, wonderful. Yes. We should not be into the same place. That is a very nice point. Yes, anybody else wishes to share something?
Krishna, you cannot say, is a neutral listener. He has a purpose. He wants the Dharma war to go on.
Yeah, he's having a good intention, just like parents are not neutral to children. They have aspired for the children to become better and evolve. But how much can they intervene?
God wants us to become better, no?
Yes.
But we cannot be neutral.
Yes.
So, he is biased towards us getting better.
Okay,
so
we'll see if it is a bias or it is the right aspiration.
Natural bias, good bias. So the Dharma Yuddha, he wants it to happen.
Okay.
This guy cannot. In our life,
yes,
he wants us to improve, better performer, whatever.
And we will see in the Gita if this bias for upholding Dharma, is it good or wrong? Because everywhere we are taught to have this balance. But should we every time remain balanced, or should we also understand once we know what Dharma is?
And what I'm trying to say is bias is not always bad.
Okay, Vasudevanji.
Bias is, what is the intention behind that?
All right. Ji. Yes, please. Yes.
Namaskar.
Namaste, ji.
Actually, my small thing here is the person who has to take action, if they don't take action in time, that can also be disastrous.
Yes.
Like, see the Krishna, Arjuna, these people are in the war field. So they are in the different set of mindset, and physically also they are in a place where so much of commotion is going on.
Yeah.
Whereas Sanjay is telling something to Dhritarashtra, who is in the palace, who is in a calm place, and he is able to visualize things in a calm way. So if when he has seen all these things, he has listened to all these things, even at this stage, if he has taken a decision or a small thing of telling Duryodhana or his Kauravas, yes, this is what is happening in his mind. It is not that he was not taking revenge or something. Yeah. Even at this time, he is thinking that you are Pandavas. He is thinking good for us. Why don't you consider like that? If he has taken a small decision, that would have changed the entire scenario.
Yes.
So the people at the power or people who are responsible, they don't take action in right time. That can change the entire scenario.
Yes, Gayatri. Sometimes little actions, they have a very important role. Gita will say that. We'll see one more shloka. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya. It is the smallest action done in the right manner can protect the greatest. Trate mahato bhayat. Means big danger can be averted. So yes, that is right. Anybody wishes to add? Or I think it was Savitri was adding something. Or I think yes.
I think if you want to teach someone, so it's very important to know the knowledge, the mental state of that person, and then the Krishna, whatever the Gita in Krishna gave the knowledge, that is not only for the Arjuna, that is for all the human beings.
All human beings. Ji. Yes, but Savitri, my question was, if you are in Krishna's place, just assuming we are all human beings, but just for the scenario, in a similar situation where you have you have put your trust in someone and then that person backs out in the last minute. It could be any, whether it's a planning of some party or some event or going away elsewhere for some trip or something, and somebody whom you have depended has backed out. What would your normal reaction be?
I will be listen whatever the Arjuna said. Okay.
Ji. Okay, Savitri. That's a very nice way. But I remember myself when I was in school, we would have cricket matches, and then I had selected one friend of mine that he's on the team because he's going to bowl very well. In that reason, I said, yeah, I'll take him. And he did not tell me anything. And then he says, bhai, my hand is paining a bit. He's like, Pagal Admi, what is this? He is not telling me before. I have now taken him with a full confidence. And now what is this? So I don't think, I think sometimes if I put myself in the place, I would have got annoyed. I would say, Bhim, give me your gadha. I'll give a hit and Arjuna knock some sense. What's this? But Krishna is showing us
One thing is there.
Yes,
Krishna's conscience is very clear. There is no adulteration of ego, greed, or anything else, fear, etc.
Ji.
He can think in a very rational way. So he will never react to anything which is
Yes.
adverse to the situation.
Yes, because my reaction, what I told was the wrong one only. Now maybe a little maturity, I can say, yes, that is not the right way. But if Krishna is an example of how probably we should react, yes, that is one thing.
But it's very difficult.
But generally in practical life, we do not think rationally all the time.
Yeah.
Like if we all think rationally, then we all will be Krishnas.
And we'll avoid so many Mahabharatas.
We will avoid Mahabharata, we will avoid so many conflicts, and we will not go on the guilt trip. We'll never go on a guilt trip.
Yes.
So we, in true sense, if it's in the practical life, we are all behaving like Arjunas, and we have the tendency. And as you said, that of course, if I have made a plan, if somebody backs out, I may not feel agitated, but something will strike me here. It will go in my subconscious mind sometimes. That why? The question of why will arise. We lose our calm. And even if we are keeping our calm for a certain extent, but because that question of why has appeared, that means I am not that calm.
Yes.
I may show out outwardly, but I am not that calm. I may not confront that situation sometime within myself also, that I will say I'll give a benefit of doubt. But when it comes to the question of giving a benefit of doubt also, that means I am not calm.
Okay.
I'm not accepting the situation as it is.
Ji. Yes.
So if I'm in the real life, I'm a Krishna. First, we are at the war in front of everybody for a reason to fight.
Ji.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
Now, you are giving a reason not to fight.
Yes.
So if I'm a Krishna, so let's go get the job done. Because we started for the good reason. Now we're under all this stress, distress, emotions, and finding a reason not to fight. That's not how it started.
Yes, Rakesh.
The reaction would be find whatever the reason we started with, we can approach.
Yes. So that is something. That clarity is somewhere lost, and we see that in Arjuna. But Krishna is maintaining his balance. This is something we have to see how Krishna reacts. We'll just probably look at the first word of Krishna, first shloka from the next adhyay. We'll stop at shloka number 3. So that, because again, Arjuna is not going to become silent now. Arjuna has got into this mode of being agitated. It will not suddenly disappear. So let us see now how it begins. Or does Krishna start giving this pravachan of the Gita immediately now? Because normally this is not the right time to speak anything to anybody when somebody is disturbed. So what is the right moment? How does Krishna start? Or what does he react? Let us see. We'll just look at the first 3 shlokas. Tomorrow we'll have the illustration, and the second adhyaya we will start in a little greater detail. So Dvitiya adhyaya begins. Sanjay uvacha tam tatha kripaya vishtam ashrapurna kulekshanam Vishidanta midam vakyam uvacha Madhusudana. So Krishna also has so many names, just like Arjuna. Vasudeva is there, Madhusudana is there. Sankata Kal is the time to remember Krishna as Madhusudana. If you see the Vishnu Sahasranam or Vishnu Shodasha Nama, you study that. So Aushade Chintaye Vishnu Bhojane Cha Janardhana Shaine Padmanabam Cha Vivahe Cha Prajapatim. There are so many names. So that this Swapne Smara Govindam Sankate Madhusudana. So in Sankat Kal, you must remember Krishna as Madhusudana. And fortunately for me, in my Sankat Kal, I found my teacher, and his name is also Madhusudana only. That's an interesting coincidence that's happened. But this aspect where Sanjay is speaking, probably Dhritarashtra is smiling. He's happy. Now it looks like Duryodhana is having a better chance. The hero has fallen. Everybody's morale must be gone. Half of the people are going to already desert looking at Arjuna fall. That's what's going on probably in Dhritarashtra's mind. Sanjay speaks. Sanjay spoke to Arjuna, who was thus depressed, sorrowful, distraught, and distressed, teary-eyed, remorseful, and devoid of hope. The following words Krishna spoke. So to this depressed Arjuna, what does Krishna speak? This is very interesting. How does he react? Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kutastva Kashmalamidam Vishame Samupasthitam Anarya Ajushtam Asvargyam Akirtikaram Arjuna. I'll read the next shloka also and then we look at the meaning. Klaibyam asmagamaha partha naitatvaya upapadyate kshudram hridaya taurbalyam tyaktva parantapa. Uttishta parantapa. He says, remind yourself. It says, remember, you are parantapa. Rise. Uttishta, he says. Arjuna, words of divine Krishna. Arjuna, from where has this illusion so untimely within you arisen? This behavior doesn't behove brave hearts, seekers of heaven or fame, nor stalwarts. Where has this suddenly come? It is so untimely. This delusion, from where has it come into you? He says, Arjuna, it is not yours. These are thoughts coming from outside. From where have they come into you now? And they have come so untimely. Because there is something called Desha, Kala, Paristhiti. Remember the place, remember the time, remember the context. All this is out of place, out of context. Everything is no Desha, no Kala, no Paristhiti. Wrong place to have this discussion. He could have had this maybe one day before and told then only that, no, you are making all these strategies. I am having a bad feeling, I want to withdraw. Maybe then Yudhishthira would have got a counter strategy. Okay, this flank is now weak because Arjuna is not present, let us protect it. But that time it has not come. It has come right now into the battlefield. So this behavior doesn't behove brave hearts. This is not the way of a brave heart, a great warrior like you. Not those who are wanting to get kirti or swargalok. People aspire, I want to win this battle. Warriors say, we will win the place in heavens, if not on earth. That is the way of the warrior, a Kshatriya, when he enters into the battlefield. And Krishna says, this is not the way of a warrior. Then he goes on, Klaibyam asmagamaha partha. So he says, you're being important. Now, for the one time we see Krishna speaking to him in a neutral way. He's not angry. He's not angry, but he is not out of love also. He's like, why are you crying, dear Arjuna? Don't feel sad. He's not becoming emotional. Krishna is maintaining a full balance. A complete balance is there. Complete poise. And he says, yield not. He says, yield not to this importance of action. Not worthy of you. It's such a renunciation. It's like an elder telling a child, no, this is wrong. This is not worthy of you. You are not like this. Should not behave this way. Yield not to this importance of action. Not worthy of you is such a renunciation. This base weak-heartedness has no relevance. Give this up. Stand up. O warrior of eminence. O Parantapa, rise. If you want to give up something, give this weak-heartedness that has suddenly entered into you from outside. So Arjuna is not saying that this is Krishna is not saying this is your own nature, you are bad, all of this. He says this has come from outside. These thoughts your mind has taken from somewhere else and they have taken possession of you. And you are now deluded. So he says, give this delusion up. Stand up, he says, oh warrior. If you see here, it's a very neutral tone. We can say Krishna has not started Gita Pravachan yet. He is just told, like an elder would say, neutrally to anybody, as in it need not be someone he knows or he doesn't know. This is just a neutral dialogue. He says, stand up, this is not the way. Sometimes parents tell, big children don't behave this way. That is all. That is just something like that. Krishna is saying, no, this is not the Kshatriya. And he says, Parantapa, trying to remind him of his names. Maybe if he is getting flashbacks of old memories, making him disturbed, he should also get the good memories of all that should give him strength as well. That's why the Upanishad also, there's a talk about Kruto Smara, Kritam Smara. Remember the great deeds. Now they don't refer to the deeds of this physical life only. The Vedantic Rishis talk about the previous janmas also. They try to ask the soul to rise up. Remember, you are not just this human body is transitional, but you have something which you have done. Remember your greatness. Not like Hanuman had to be told. He had forgotten his great powers. Like that, Krishna is just saying, no, this is not worthy of you. This is not Arjuna's way. Klaibyam asmagama partha. He says, no, this is an important way of action. This is not the right way, he says. Remember, give this up if you want to give something up. How does this work? So maybe we will just stop with one more shloka because we'll just see whether Arjuna is accepted or not. Need not carry on the suspense tomorrow. Arjuna immediately reacts. Arjuna's reaction is immediate. The moment Krishna finishes, Arjuna is still emotional only. So he asks this question. Arjuna uvacha. Katham bhishva maham sankhye dronam cha madhusudana ishabhi pratiyotsyami puja arha varisudana. Tell me how, Arjuna says. Tell me how, as with weapons equipped, stand revered Bhishma and Drona in my sight. Both these great souls I have always worshipped, even in dreams. Them I cannot fight. He says, how, Krishna? How can I fight? Look who is standing in front of me. There is Bhishma and there is Drona. These are all people I have worshipped. I can touch their feet, get their blessings, but I can't pierce their heart with my arrows. Dronacharya has told me how to hold his bow. Can I attack him? He says, no, not in my dream also. So we'll stop here. Krishna's words, Arjuna did not listen, is what we see in the first. He says, no, how can I? What are you saying, Krishna? We will still see a lot of this by Arjuna. Why are you saying this? What are you saying this? This does not, what we can say, this is a private conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. We need not judge Arjuna for this. But what we can see is the oneness, the beautiful oneness between Krishna and Arjuna, where Arjuna is feeling free to open up, like almost as a childlike innocence in Arjuna. He is opening up to Krishna, forgetting everything else. He is forgetting. He knows Krishna is so great. That is why he wanted Krishna by his side. But now he says, he's not yet what we can see. He's still emotional, but he has opened up. So there's one good thing that he has done, and that's the biggest lesson we can get from the first adhyaya. And that is also what all psychologists also say. Sometimes adults don't go for asking help. It's not wrong to ask from a friend, a trusted one actually, a trusted friend, a trusted elder, or even a guru, or if there's nobody around, why not even going and visiting a psychiatrist or psychologist is not something a lot of people think it is wrong to go and seek help from someone. But that's not the case. At least we'll see what happens to Arjuna because he sought help of Krishna. He could have simply said, oh, I need to just go, I'm thirsty, I want some water. He could have just run away. He's not done that. He is opening up to Arjuna. Arjuna is opening up to Krishna, displaying his entire vulnerability, not afraid about that. And so let us see what Krishna does. But as of now, we see Arjuna has not accepted Krishna's words. So this is how the Gita begins. Arjuna does not accept. And this freedom is there, which is not like, because I said this, you have to do it. Otherwise, I'll cut your head. Certain texts speak about a very rigid following. Or maybe the spirit of that is misinterpreted by the fanatics. Whatever it may be. This is not in Sanatana Dharma. You have the freedom to question. You have even the freedom to accuse. Krishna was the most accused person in his time. People accused him of so many things. And he was like, fine. He said, fine. He said, even he got the curse also of Gandhari. And he said, fine, all right. Your entire family will suffer. He's now, you have done this, you have done that. He says, for the higher dharma, he says, it's all right. But don't ever say that I didn't feel the pain of them. You lost only Kauravas. I lost both Kauravas and all the people in the Kauravan army, and the Pandavas. Part of me was dying with every soldier who fell. So that is a wrong statement, but I accept your curse. It's all right. So let my Yadav empire crumble. I don't mind. That is for the higher will. So this was Krishna. But now Krishna is being attacked by Arjuna, and he says, how? How, Krishna? How can I stand? What are you speaking about being neutral? What are you telling me to rise? Uttishta? No. Aham na uttishtami. He says, no, I will not do that. I will sit. You can't make me stand. So Arjuna is seated and he is not willing to fight. This is where we stop. I'll conclude with the Shanti mantra and we will probably enter into the Gita. The real part of the Gita starts in the second adhyaya after a very decisive moment. That is a very important moment. Let us see if we can identify it as it comes to us. That moment decides why the Gita takes place. If that moment was not there, Gita would not have taken place also. We are yet to come to that place. With this, we'll conclude with the Shanti mantra. Hari Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinaho, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Hari Om Tat Sat. Krishna Mande Jagat Guru. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Yeah, we wanted us to tell you here, Krishna, what will be our reaction.
Ji.
Yes. In that section, I just wanted to share a beautiful story from the Upanishads. Because our interpretations are reactions, as normal human beings, it will be based on our own experiences, not with any logic. So, once gods, demons, and human beings went to Prajapati, the creator, for advice. Prajapati gave all of them only one word of advice, the single syllable, la. The gods said, oh, we are given to passions and sensual pleasures. So Prajapati has advised us, Daman, that is subduing and conquering them. The demons thought, we are given to anger and cruelty. So Prajapati has advised us to cultivate daya, compassion. The human being said, we are greedy and are always binkering after possessions. So Prajapati has advised us to practice dan, that is charity and sharing. So one syllable has different meanings because each had its own experience.
Yes, yes, and so nice that all of them took the right interpretation, and we can say, according to their swabhav, they found out a different meaning, but they got it in the right way. Probably all of them, because they were in the presence of the divine, their good consciousness was to the fore. Even asuras became transformed. That is why they say in front of the divine, Deva Asura Namaskrutam. All Deva, Asura, Manushya, that is the power of truth. In front of truth, falsehood has to recede only. And many times it is not the people who are false, it is the falsehood in the person that needs to recede. But that can happen, then I think even how Sant Jnaneshwar has also talked about the same thing, that if let the falsehood in the false people disappear, then that is the end of the thing. It is not about let all the false people die or disappear. Let that ignorance disappear. So thank you, Shashankarji, for a beautiful story. So let us see what Krishna does. It is interesting, and like I said, it is something which is very good because Arjuna questions. If there was somebody like me in place of Arjuna, we would not have this Gita session. It would be very boring. There would be no dialogue. Krishna would have said fight. I would have said yes, sir, and over. There would be no dialogue. Because Arjuna has this dialogue, we get questions. Many of these questions, we sometimes in the end, we will wonder if Arjuna is asking it for himself, or is he asking it for us, or he knows that people are going to be studying this dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna in future. So these are the questions. Or are both of them playing a game only? We do not know. We'll have to see how it goes. But as of now, we see completely disturbed Arjuna, and we see him being very honest to Krishna. So Hari Om. If anybody wishes to add or share anything, you can share, after which we will conclude today's session.
Question regarding this Jhana Sloka.
Ji, yes sir. Ji.
Why we are saying Saraswati Namastibyam? Can we also include some Gita Jhana Sloka?
You can say it, Vasudevan ji. After for me, I start with Saraswati Stotra, minimum one stotra. But you are planning to say all the Gita Dhyana Stotra or anyone?
You can select. And
no, you select, no, Vasudevan ji. You select, and anyone you can. It is like Gita, Shastra, Vedam, Punyam, you want to say about it, or Sarva Upanishado, Gavo. Anyone you can select, and after I finish, you can say that. It would be nice. Why not?
Okay. And another thing is the Shanti Mantra, why we are not saying Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti?
I will say if you want to, Vasudevan ji.
No, I mean,
in that, then we will have to start saying Dev Shanti, Antariksha Shanti, Apa Shanti, Brahma Shanti, Prithvi Shanti, Vanaspati Shanti, Oshudha, Sarva Deva Shanti. So
generally, everywhere they finish with the Om Shanti.
I will
what is already with him.
Just to know why we are not saying that.
No, if you want it, because that is when I said we are set up. This is not a rigid system, of course. If you feel it must be introduced,
No. I'm not saying it should be or should not be. I want to know why it is not.
It is a part of the Shanti Mantram, that's why I think.
Sarve Bhavantu, everybody comes into that.
No, why we are not including here? That's my question.
No, we can include, no problem. I think I'll say Om Shanti Shanti in the last, after Sarve Bhavantu. Certainly.
Okay, there's no reason. Yes, we are not including that.
Yes. We want Shanti for everybody, and that is
philosophical or some.
No, Ji. We will conclude it with that. So it will be because Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina means how am I going to be happy when others are also when people like if we are not happy and if I am happy and somebody close to me is also not happy, then that happiness will disappear because I am now connected with the person. So we say Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhave, and Om Shanti Shanti will conclude it. No problem. But Gita Dhyana Mantra, you select one. If you want one every day, we can have a look at it. Means one mantras each day. No, that is fine.
Asdeva Sudam Devam Kamsasharam Vachalam Pangum Langit.
Yes. So I will just after I conclude, I will just wait and you can select Vasudevan, anyone. All right, Ji. Okay, Ji. Hari Om. Hari Om.
हरिओम जी।
धन्यवाद महोदय।
Thank you so much.
Hari Om.
We have this session every day.
No, Saturday and Sunday it is not there. I will drop a message in the group as well. Monday to Fridays our sessions are there. Monday to Friday.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.